My name is Jason Medar. I'm the campaign manager for the campaign to legalize marijuana in Arizona.
Excellent. Now, how long have you been a part of this?
Well, I've been a marijuana activist in Arizona since about 2005. I got involved with medical marijuana because my dad had Lou Gehrig's disease and cirrhosis of the liver, so he was in constant pain but couldn't take any pain pills. So that's how I got involved initially, and it just blew up from there. I became an activist in about 2005, started growing for my dad, making cold water hash for him. I eventually opened up my own dispensary in Orange County, California in 2009. Came back here to get the Medical Marijuana Act passed. I collect signatures for that. Now that we got that, the Medical Marijuana Act here, we're working on getting a legalization initiative on the ballot here so we can legalize for everybody over the age of 21.
So if it goes up for vote here in November, if we can get enough signatures to do that, how soon are we looking for those laws to be implemented?
It would be implemented early December is when the governor would go ahead and officially sign it, assuming that we get it on the ballot and we get enough yes votes. Now, there are two campaigns that are trying to make it on the ballot. We're the Arizonans for Mindful Regulation, also called the Campaign to Legalize Marijuana. The other campaign is the MPP, or the Marijuana Policy Project, and theirs is the Campaign to Regulate Marijuana like alcohol. And there are some very real differences between these two campaigns. Their initiative, their campaign has already collected enough signatures on the ballot, and they will be on the ballot guaranteed. However, the reason we exist is because their initiative only protects the medical marijuana dispensary owners and does not protect the medical or marijuana consumers, people like us here who actually use marijuana in Arizona. So with that in mind, we tried to work with that group. We really did our very best to work with them. In the end, they wrote an initiative that only protects the medical marijuana dispensaries who are paying for that initiative. Our initiative is grassroots. We have the backing of all of the marijuana consumer groups in Arizona because our initiative was written by consumers to protect consumers. And so without going into all the points, there are, like I said, a lot of big differentiating factors, and we feel that our initiative is the only initiative that marijuana consumers in Arizona should vote for. Again, simply because we're the only one that actually protects consumers.
Got it. So if someone who's listening to this right now, who's on the fence about whether to vote yes or no on this, and who isn't even a cannabis user, what would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them that this isn't a question of do you want people to use marijuana recreationally or not. People are using marijuana recreationally right now in this very park, regardless of whether you like it or not. The question is, if you're on the fence, do you want people like this buying marijuana from drug dealers, or do you want them buying marijuana from licensed businesses? Because again, we've established that marijuana is readily available. Numerous polls have indicated that teenagers can get marijuana much more easily than alcohol, and we know why. Because, put simply, Circle K asks for ID and a drug dealer does not. Also worth mentioning is that the drug dealer has numerous other drugs, cocaine, ecstasy, Molly, whatever you want, whereas a licensed business will only be selling marijuana, and therefore the licensed business will not be selling marijuana to underage users lest they lose their license. So again, it really makes sense to put it in the hands of licensed businesses rather than having drug dealers continue to sell our marijuana. And not to mention the fact that when we license these marijuana businesses, the tax revenue generated from all the sales of marijuana, in addition to the licensing fees themselves, will generate millions of dollars for cities and counties to use as they see fit, in addition to helping to fund education, which everybody knows here in Arizona has been a hot topic.
Can you speak to just marijuana from a personal rights perspective?
Yeah, of course. I mean, and that's another perspective for why you should vote for legalization. You should have the right to use a substance that society has acknowledged is less harmful than alcohol. And we talk about that all the time, but the reason we can say that with absolute certainty is because of the federal government's own admission. The Center for Disease Control admits on their website that thousands of people die every year from alcohol, and on their very same website they acknowledge that nobody has ever died from marijuana overdose. So based on the federal government's own statistics, marijuana is safer than alcohol, and society has decided that they want their intoxicants controlled. Put simply, and I tell this to people who are against marijuana legalization, do you propose that we make alcohol and tobacco illegal? And of course the answer is no. We tried alcohol prohibition, we saw that it didn't work. We tried marijuana prohibition, and we've now seen that it too doesn't work.
Excellent, excellent. Dude, thank you for everything that you're doing, everything that you're here organizing everyone, getting people out there. It makes a huge difference. We have till July 7th, correct?
Until July 7th to collect at least 150,000 valid signatures, but realistically we need about 200,000 to account for errors, which of course volunteers do make on a routine basis. So we're aiming for about 200,000. As I mentioned, we're about 9 months behind the other campaign because we tried to work with them. But that's not an excuse. That's just a reason why we don't have quite as many signatures. We've got a great volunteer effort of more than 200 people and 100 smoke shops around the entire state of Arizona. We have all of the support of the smoke shops because the other MPP, the Campaign to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol, their initiative says that the new marijuana department can regulate businesses that sell pipes and bongs and things like that. And smoke shops are concerned that that will mean that they will need to have a retail dispensary license in order to sell pipes and bongs, which would destroy them overnight. And so, of course, that's why we have more than 100 smoke shops who actively support us. And we've got a map on our website that lists all the different businesses around Arizona who actively support our efforts and who are collecting signatures to help us get on the ballot. And our website is legalize marijuana in Arizona.org. We try and differentiate ourselves from the other campaign by using and highlighting the word legalize. Believe it or not, in all 19 pages of the other campaign to regulate marijuana like alcohol, they managed to not use the word legalization in all 19 pages. Not once did they use the word legalization. And the reason is their initiative does not legalize marijuana. It does not end marijuana prohibition. And our initiative, the AZFMR initiative, does legalize marijuana, and we do end marijuana prohibition.
So if they both get on the ballot, what happens next? And let's say they both get on the ballot and then they both pass with the vote, in terms of unanimous yes. Are they conflicting, or how does that work after that?
So whichever initiative gets the most votes, if they both pass, takes precedent over the other initiative if there's any conflicting language. So essentially, whichever one gets the most votes wins. With that in mind, as I mentioned, the vast majority of marijuana consumers support our initiative and have pledged to vote no on the other initiative. So if that were to happen, we believe that we would get the more amount of votes. We definitely would get the majority of the votes.
So people at home right now watching this or listening to what you're saying, what can they do in the meantime? Right now, what can they do to help this cause?
Well, right now, we need to get more signatures in order to get on the ballot. So if people would like to volunteer or contribute financially, they can do so on our website, which is legalize marijuana in Arizona.org. Again, the other campaign, the MPP campaign, they've already made it on the ballot. And we encourage our supporters to vote no on that campaign and only support this campaign because it's, put simply, the only initiative that will keep them safe. And so a vast majority of our 48,000 supporters feel the very same way, that the MPP campaign is simply not an option, and we will all vote no on it. We just need to get our initiative on the ballot here. And that's what we're going full force to get done here with, again, more than 200 volunteers and more than 100 smoke shops on board.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Hey, man.